Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers, sisters, viewers, and friends of Ikra TV. Welcome to another edition of Real Talk. I'm your host, Iqbal Bana. And as I say every week, we come and invade your home, bringing to you hopefully issues and subjects of some interest in it, that you may find helpful and useful in your day-to-day lives. And today, I hope that I'm going to do the same. I have a couple of guests, but one of them I'm still waiting for. But I have a very eminent guest with me today. And we're going to talk about issues around health, particularly looking at some of the issues that confront some people because they've got some long-term health issues. We know that in our community, we have issues around diabetes, we've got issues around blood pressure, we've got issues about coronary care and heart disease, etc., etc. And with the month of Ramadan coming up as well, there are lots of people who question, okay, what do I have to do when I have these health conditions? I have to take so much medication. Some people are on insulin, for example. Others have to take warfarin to keep their blood thin, and these sort of issues. And a lot of people, although there's been a lot of discussion about this over the past, still people get confused about what, in their particular situation, Islam rulings is around some of these key issues. COVID has been one of the factors which has affected lots of families in more ways than we care to think about. Some people have suffered long COVID. As a consequence of that, they've had multiple issues within their own health as well. That has developed in different ways in different people. So today, as I say, we have a very eminent Mufti Sahib, Mufti Zubair Sahib from Bradford. He's a chaplain in Leeds, at the Leeds teaching hospitals. He has been there for over nearly 20 years, 22 years. And he is a man who has got enormous amount of knowledge both in the Islamic jurisprudence, but also how people's health may affect them. So then I'm waiting for Dr. Khalid Naeem to come and join us as well. Unfortunately, he's stuck in traffic. But I'd also like to thank Sister Shaheen Kosa, who has been my guest on many occasions, who's arranged for these two gentlemen to come with and join with me today, who can't make it herself. So can I welcome Dr. Mufti Sahib, Mufti Zubair Sahib. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Ikra TV. Welcome to Real Talk, sir. It's a pleasure having you here.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khairan for having me here. Hopefully, inshallah, tonight will be a fruitful discussion, inshallah.
Inshallah, definitely. I'm sure our viewers will really want to hear what you have to say and what you have to share. Anybody who wants to phone in, as you know, the phone number is on the screen. It's 01274 214 299. Please phone in if you want. Ask any questions within reason to Mufti Sahib, and I'm sure we'll try and between him and I'll try and answer some of the questions as long as they're not religious, because I'm not qualified to do that. Mufti Sahib, a little bit about yourself. You're a chaplain, have been a chaplain for a long time at the Leeds Teaching Hospital. What is the role of the chaplain? Can you just explain to our viewers, please?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, I have been a hospital chaplain at the Leeds Teaching Hospital since 2000. So I joined in August 2000.
MashaAllah.
It's a long time ago. It's a long stint. And what a chaplain does is provides support to patients, to staff, and to their relatives. As a Muslim chaplain, a lot of that tends to be religious, but the work of a chaplain is not only just, it can be pastoral support, which is just supporting the person as an individual, just being there for them, without really any religious input. So somebody of no faith and belief can also be a chaplain offering pastoral support. And within the health service, another word that is used is spiritual support.
Spiritual, yes.
Yeah. And spiritual support means different things to different people. So as a Muslim, my spirituality is entwined with my religiosity. So my faith and my belief and my religion is not separate from spirituality. And that equally will be true for the Orthodox Jewish faith as well. Others see spirituality to be something different, and something that gives you a sense of being, a way you understand the world, etc., and doesn't necessarily have to be according to a formal religion. Now, the health service caters for people of the Muslim faith, Jewish faith, Hindu, Sikh faith, those that have no faith and belief, atheists, agnostics, Buddhists, etc. So the understanding of spirituality that you find within the health or NHS is very much a broad understanding that people of all faiths and beliefs can relate to. And that is about having a sense of worth, a sense of, well-being, etc. And so you get chaplains, for example, I have colleagues who are Christian, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, but also don't have a faith, Buddhist as well, or maybe they may be secular. And
you have humanist as well, I presume.
Humanist as well, yeah, we have humanist as well.
So are you primarily working and with the Muslim patients over there, both the patients and the staff? Do you do sort of Islamic awareness raising and things like that with the staff?
Okay. Now, the role of a chaplain is not to proselytize.
Right.
So we don't give da'wah.
Yeah.
Right. As a Muslim, I believe that my purpose on this earth is to give da'wah to everyone. Exactly. But when you go into chaplaincy, you park that at the door. So it's not about giving da'wah. So when you said Islamic awareness, I said,
no,
I understand what you're saying. I'm saying it's not a case that you are giving da'wah. Yes, what you do is you respond to the needs of the patients, the staff, and their relatives. So I don't have an agenda. I don't come and say, okay, I'm a Muslim, I'm a mufti, I'm bringing all this with me. So, okay, rather it's the case of what would you want me to discuss? What kind of support would you want? And obviously who I am and what I represent, the kind of support that they would ask from me would be of a religious nature generally, but it might not be.
So, I mean, if a doctor or nurse is not aware of some of the Islamic rules and regulations, would they come to you and say, look, I've got a patient, and he's a Muslim or she's a Muslim, maybe they're practicing or not practicing, we don't know, but what are the issues that I need to be mindful of? We've got a call coming in, Mufti Sahib. Let me take this call first. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Who's calling and where are you calling from, please?
Wa alaikum salam. I'm Dr. Jafar Qureshi.
Dr. Yabar Qureshi.
Jafar Qureshi.
Jafar, sorry, brother. Jafar
Qureshi. I recognize that name from many years ago.
Acha.
I'm one of your trustees as well. Okay.
MashaAllah.
And I'm very impressed with the Imam Saab's presentation. May Allah bless him.
Ameen.
What I want to ask you is, Imam Saab must have encountered complex situations in which organ transplantation was an issue, where one party is willing to donate, one party is willing to receive, and there's a conflict of interest. There was an incident in Manchester when a Muslim mother said, my son has agreed to give the organ. He is now deceased. The body now belongs to me, and I will not allow it to be given to anyone who is not of Muslim faith. And that caused a lot of headline.
Right.
Is it an issue that the chaplain, I would prefer to call him Imam Sahab, has encountered, and how does he counsel them?
That's a really interesting and tough question. I'm sure lots of people may find themselves in that situation. Imam Sahab, Mufti Sahab, do I understand it? So the mother was happy to provide
happy to
donate the organ of a son who had passed away. So the son had passed away.
Somebody passed away. The young man who passed away had agreed to donate the organ.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
In his will.
Right.
But the mother said it can
only to another Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Because
I've got that clear in my head.
In the Muslim community about
So you want just to repeat the question?
Yeah. Obviously, the mother was agreed to donate, but only donate the organ to a Muslim, a fellow Muslim who needs it.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, I'd like to discuss the issue of organ transplantation per se first.
Okay, fine.
In 2019, I was asked to, in fact, end of 2018, I was asked to produce a new opinion, a fatwa on this.
We've lost it.
And over 5 months, I sat down and I was commissioned to actually put something together for NHS BT.
Right.
And before starting or penning the fatwa, this was a subject that I had dealt with for about 20 years, but I've never written anything, I never gave a verbal fatwa. It's always, I have these issues, these questions. And if you recall, around that time there was a discussion about going to a model of approval, what is now known as deemed consent. where where you would be deemed to have consented unless you have opted out to donate your organs. And so there was this on the horizon that the law is going to change in England as it has done in Wales. And so therefore we needed some kind of opinion. I needed some satisfaction for myself. Up until then I taught on the issue, but I'd never come to a definitive answer one way or the other. So I spent 5 months on this, and then in around about June 2019 we published a fatwa which is all of 111 sites, and it's actually available on the NHSBT website.
All right.
So the conclusion of that was that in principle it is permissible to donate organs, provided when you are procuring the organ, the person you are taking the organ from is either alive and you give it as live donation, or the person is actually properly dead, okay, and cannot be revived. And there's a whole discussion behind that which I won't go into. So presuming that organ donation is permissible. Now the question Dr. Saab has asked, Dr. Jafar Qureshi takes me back about 15 years. He may not recall, but I do recall.
Right.
Because he was very...
I think we lost him on the phone.
He was very vocal and very prominent in medical ethics and the issues surrounding medical ethics, transplantation, etc. Okay, anyway, so so the issue that he has raised is where the mother is willing to donate, but others may have an objection, or she was saying that will only give it to
another Muslim. Another Muslim, yeah.
Now, I would draw a similitude with a situation where for example, in Turkey you have had the earthquake where you are distributing
all sorts of aid,
food and all sorts of aid too, and you come across someone who's Muslim and you come across someone who's non-Muslim. Okay, do you differentiate and say I give it only to the Muslim, or do you say I give it to non-Muslim as well? So here, what you are given here is on the basis of human need, as opposed to, it's not zakat, it's not something that's specific for Muslims. It is based on the human need. Equally also, when giving an organ to someone who is not of the Muslim, when you're given an organ, it is done on the basis of humanity and human need.
Right.
Okay, and so therefore a person will get the reward for donating to a Muslim recipient as much as they will a non-Muslim recipient. Yes, you might say that just as it is, it's a donation that should go to someone who will make the best use of it. So if you had both Muslim recipients and you decided this one is the more pious, I'll give it to this one because I'll make better use of it, or and I will get more reward in the hereafter. That is a judgment that you can make. Equally, you might say somebody is Muslim, that I may get more reward in because of the actions that they may do, etc. But first of all, to specify that I am only giving to Muslim, that wouldn't be allowed anyway.
Right.
In this country, the specific donation is not allowed.
Right.
Target donation not. Yes, if a person is live donation and one relative gives it to another, that is allowed. But if it's from a dead person, then that is not allowed. Okay, and reality is that as Muslims, we are, in terms of proportion of our population, we are very heavily represented on the organ donation or organ transplant register in need of an organ. So about 30%, 33% is Muslims. However, when it comes to donating, we are about 3% on the organ donation register. Okay, so the need is about 30-odd%, and the people donating from the Muslim community is about 3%.
People registered to donate.
Yeah, and so even though people actually donating, not registered, actually donating. So now, if it was to be targeted donating, then it is the Muslim that will suffer the most. If that people would say that actually I'm only going to give it to so and so, etc., and it is us that will suffer the most. But across the board in this country, it's not permissible to, it's not lawful to actually.
So you cannot designate your organ to say it can only go to a black person or a white person or a Muslim or a non-Muslim, which is understandable in a way. Now, obviously, there's been a great push recently around getting more and more people from the black minority ethnic community to donate their organs. Now, we'll come back to that. I hope, Dr. Qureshi Saab, we lost you on the phone. I hope the answer that Mufti Saab has given will sort of answer some of the questions that you had in your mind and you asked. But I mean, although we've gone on to the organ donation, which is a huge issue, I understand that. And like you say, 30% of the people in hospital waiting for organ donation are from the Muslim faith, and only 3% are volunteering or giving their organs. Now, this is a huge masla in our community, and different school of thoughts have different views. And I mean, some people say that you cannot take anything away from a body that somebody who's passed away already, because that body obviously belongs to Allah. So how would you respond to that? You know,
Okay.
I mean, as a Mufti Sahib, I genuinely want to know, because I have a different, and I have a perspective. We should give whatever we can. Right.
Okay, this is one of the main objections about not being able to donate.
Yeah, extract
Right.
anything. Yeah.
One is that the body does not belong to us, it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so therefore we are not able to donate something that doesn't belong to us. Okay? That is an objection that is raised. For me, that is actually a misplaced objection.
Right.
We don't own our bodies in life nor after death. We are trustees of our bodies. We are stewards of our bodies. Okay, not owners of our bodies. The question is, as a steward, as a caretaker of this body, what am I allowed to do with it? Not that I don't own it, so I can't give it. And one of the objections raised is this, that what you can't sell, you can't gift as well. Okay, and we can't sell the human body, so we can't gift it. That's a fiqhi discussion there. But for me, it's a case of what are we allowed to do with our bodies as stewards and caretakers of our bodies? That is what needs to be determined.
Right.
And the question is, are we allowed to donate our bodies to someone else after our death? My own conclusion that I couldn't find anything that would not allow it.
To prevent you from doing
Prevented, yeah. I mean, I started from a position where initially, before writing the fatwa, it was a case of live donor tends to be accepted. Generally, people, even the more stricter, tend to accept it. When there's a case of need, or at least they will say there's difference of opinion, you know, you may avail of the opinion that allows it. But when it came to cadaver, I was a bit, you know, I'm not sure about this one. You know, how many organs do you remove? Is it a desecration of the human body, etc.? And so there were lingering questions, and then I went through all of them, and I came to the conclusion that it would be permissible.
Oh, right, right. Interesting. I mean, understand that, you know, obviously this is a huge subject, and actually my brothers and sisters, this is not why I asked Mufti Sahib to come and talk to us about. Obviously Dr. Qureshi Sahib has raised this question, so that's why we're discussing that. The main subject today was going to be, and we may come back to the issue about organ donation, was about the month of Ramadan coming up, you know, in a few weeks' time. Unfortunately, in our community, we know for a fact that we have a high incidence of some of these very basic illnesses around diabetes, as I say, blood pressure, heart issues, cardiac issues, where people are on medication. I mean, I have a friend who takes 15 tablets a day because he's got, you know, multiple health issues in the morning and about 5 tablets in the evening. Now, how does that person fast all day long, particularly if that person has to have sustenance on a regular basis? Those are the type of questions that, you know, we wanted to talk about. We'll come back to organ donation, or we may ask Mufti Sahib to come back specifically to talk about this one, you know, after Ramadan. So just touching on that, we're going to go for a break in a little while. You know, some of these issues, obviously, you probably have a lot of interaction with, because you're also part of Darul Ifta in Bradford, which is a very well-known, respected organization. What are the key factors around that? In a simple sort of, we've got 4 minutes before we go for the break.
Okay, I know from even my parents, they had, you know, diabetes, high blood pressure, etc. But it was only the last year or so for my father that he couldn't fast. Right? Otherwise, he was fasting no matter what. And generally, you find with our older generation, they will, you know, tough it out, and they will rather fast if they are able to than not. Okay. Yeah. Now, if you look at the discussion amongst our jurists, they talk about that person who by fasting would actually harm themselves or delay themselves getting better. That person is allowed to actually forgo the fast now, and if possible, for example, the shorter days in winter, make up the fast. And even if that is not possible, then you pay a fidya, you pay some kind of expiation for that. Okay. Now, so the books of fiqh, the discussion is you are permitted to do this. Right. Okay.
So there's gunjaish.
There's some license. Okay. I have another question. If you know for sure, or you have a dominant presumption, zanni ghalib, that by fasting you are going to harm yourself.
Right.
You are, because you need your medication in the day. If you don't have your medication in there, you get an imbalance, and you risk.
May collapse or something.
Yeah,
like that.
you may risk your life. Okay, or your health seriously. Should you be then required not to fast? Is it incumbent upon you to protect yourself and your body and not fast? That discussion I haven't found.
Right.
And potentially that is because we are able to maintain life at the kind of end of life or more critical life a lot longer because of the medication treatment that we have. Whereas in the past, if you got ill to this extent that you are now, you didn't survive. But now we are able to survive with medication, and we prolong, the time for your life is written, but we are able to prolong that, zahiran, and so we have a longer period where life is critical, there's a bit more uncertainty. And so I don't know, maybe this is something the scholars of this time have written on. I haven't come across it, or need to discuss that. Are you required? Because you have a duty to you, but inna li nafsika alayka haqqa. You have a right. Your body has a right as well.
So it's a balance between your right as an individual for your personal issues, as well as your right to the Deen of Islam.
To Allah, it's a right of Allah.
Yeah.
The right over our body is the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, and so if you know you have a dominant presumption that, if, for example, I have diabetes and it's quite volatile. If I don't have my food on time, insulin on time, and I have a large gap, I am going to put myself at serious risk. Am I even allowed to fast? Let alone, is it permissible for me not to fast?
Conversely, when that situation happens, or somebody does that, and they're absolutely adamant they're going to fast, and they could then be a problem for somebody else, in that situation, I assume you'd say it is probably not expected, and it's probably haram for you to fast. Would that be? I'm not sure whether the word
haram is a strong word.
Haram is a strong word.
Like I said, I haven't seen the discussion.
All right.
But in principle, what I would say is that if you have a dominant presumption that by fasting you are going to cause yourself harm, then that for me would indicate that it is not permissible for you to fast.
My brothers and sisters, I know we have to go for a break now. I hope so far you found it really interesting. Obviously, we've talked about transplanting, we'll come back. But this issue about people being passionate about wanting to fast, and I've seen that happen with my own family, my elders in my family as well, who were passionate that they wanted to fast regardless what the situation was and what condition they were in. But also, they might put some other people in difficulties as well. We'll come back to that after the break. I hope you found it useful so far. Take care. Have your tea, coffee, faluda, as I say every week. Inshallah, we'll be back soon. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.